My name is Mela Heather. I'm 18 years old, a high school senior, and I'm very interested in music. This story is about my past interest in theater. I stopped acting in plays a while ago. The last time I was in a theater performance was a nightmare. I was in 10th grade at the time, and I had auditioned for the play my school's drama club had announced, Romeo and Juliet, a tragedy written by William Shakespeare. I first learned about this story in 8th grade. It's basically about two teenagers who are in love, yet they are from two rich families, Capulets and Montagues, who hate each other completely. It didn't emotionally strike me like it did to my classmates, who either cried or complained at the tragic ending. I had a sister, Kada, who loved Shakespeare's writings quite a lot, just as much as I liked music. She read many of his writings, preferably Macbeth and Hamlet. She had also auditioned for the play that I had, mainly because the boy she loved was in the play, and surprise, surprise, he had auditioned for Romeo, so she auditioned for Juliet. She just knew she would be getting that part, like it was her only chance of getting that boy to love her. His name was Caleb, and she had been completely obsessed with him. She'd always tell me things like, "He's so adorable and funny. I love his sexy brown hair. I don't see why he hasn't talked to me yet. Maybe because I'm always with you. You should really change your wardrobe and take more showers. You'll never be with a guy if you look like that." Yeah, she wasn't the best sister. But I didn't care. I didn't want a boyfriend. My sister always tried to make me jealous, but I always laughed. I have always viewed most teenage relationships as troublesome and silly things. Anyways, the day the cast parts had been decided, Kada and I made our way around the school of rushing students and reached the drama room. More students were crowded around something next to the doorway. We shuffled our way through the crowd and looked at a list on the wall. I caught sight of my name right next to a background Capulet. One of my transgender friends was Lord Montague. Some weirdo in my class became Benvolio, another Montague. And guess who was Romeo? Yep, Caleb Dunning. Curiously, I looked at who had gotten the part of Juliet. I knew at that instant my sister would crack. I looked at her face. Her eyebrows lowered, along with her hopeful smile that turned into an envious frown. Her eyes were filled with fury. Her name was not listed next to Juliet, but instead there was a name of a girl Kada so deeply hated. Taryn Meyer had always gotten on my sister's bad side somehow. She did bump into my sister a couple times, made a few clumsy moves here and there. She seemed nice to me, though. She always had a happy personality and looks that matched with it. She had short, curled, shining brown hair and wide green eyes. Moving on, however, we went back home and Kada complained to our parents about how she didn't get the part she wanted. I just sat there, thinking it really wasn't a big deal. Sure, she didn't get the main part, but she still got in the play. I noticed that in theater, it seems people don't value small parts even a single bit. They don't realize that while main parts are important, small parts can be just as important. For the next few weeks, everyone rehearsed. We all practiced our scripts, our movements, blocking. I just practiced the first fight scene and other scenes with other Capulets. Terrence seemed especially happy rehearsing with Caleb. I caught Kada giving Terrence some hairy eyeballs a couple times. Terrence didn't seem to notice, or maybe not even care. I was a little bit concerned when seeing Kada hang out with Caleb a few times. I was suspicious of him whenever he was near my sister. They didn't get to hang out very much, anyway, as he was always busy with Taryn. I think Taryn liked Caleb too. She did seem to, and I'm sure that's what really pushed my sister. That and also one certain time when I had been walking to my next class during school, and I saw Kada trying to talk to Caleb, but he just ignored her. He even shoved her away like she was nothing. I was right to be concerned and suspicious, and he really did turn out to be an ignorant jerk. He even started giving me some dirty looks, but I ignored him. 2 days before the first performance, I went to the drama room after school for dress rehearsal. I watched the current scene we were practicing, involving a student acting as Lady Capulet, Taryn as Juliet, and another girl with a thick French accent, who played as the nurse.
Watch out! Watch out!
Someone yelled immediately. My head immediately flicked upwards, just in time to see a loose stage light fall down. I jumped from the loud crash, which echoed through the whole auditorium we were practicing in. It was followed by a painful, spine-chilling shriek. I saw crew members and cast members frantically rush over to Taryn, whose current appearance shocked me. The stage light had made a large, bloody gash on the side of her head, from her eye to her chin. Taryn was clutching the side of her face, her eyes leaking with tears. She was panting in pain as everyone helped her up. I wanted to help too, but I was pushed out of the way. It's a common thing that happens to me in most situations. I did hope that Taryn would be alright. The next 2 days, I hadn't seen Taryn. I was very concerned for her and hoped she was alright. The evening right before our first show, the director announced, "We're very sorry, everyone. Taryn is unable to come to this rehearsal and may not be able to attend the first performance. Her injury is far too serious, and it may be risky for her to act. Therefore, we've chosen Kata Heather to take her part for this show. That will be all." As I had slightly suspected, Kata's face lit up with excitement in the corner of the room. Even if Taryn was badly injured, she didn't care. She finally got what she wanted, and didn't care about the pain of the person she was replacing. Concern rose in my mind, along with the slightest bit of suspicion. That night, after we came back home from rehearsal, someone knocked on my bedroom door. I opened it to see Kata standing there. She was crying. The first thing she said was, "Mayla, I'm sorry, you were right about—" "Go cry in your room and leave me alone," I sternly responded. The moment she was about to say that snobby boy's name, I wasn't having it. She was never there when I cried, when I was in pain, when I was at the brink of ending it up. Yes, I was worried for her, but she could cry alone, instead of bawling her eyes out to me. "Whatever you did to Taryn, I don't want to deal with you or your stupid sorrow." She looked confused, and seemed to cry even more. I slammed the door in her face. Today I wish that moment would have gone better. The next day was finally the night of the first performance. Everyone was in the dressing room, fitting in their costumes, applying their makeup, and adding on their accessories and props. My heart felt empty and cold from the night before. I stood backstage, listening to the audience whisper. Once everyone was ready, I heard them walk backstage where I was. The audience's whispers died down, and our director walked on stage to welcome everyone. After a few words, the show began. Fellow actors started coming on stage and right back off for different durations of time, telling their lines and performing their actions. I only appeared in 1 or 2 scenes, and then waited for what seemed like hours. But it was nice staying hidden just behind the long black stage curtains, watching the others act on stage. Then there came a scene where Juliet is in her room, sitting on her bed, and she takes a potion she requested from a priest. That's what Kata did. She had a vial of what appeared to be an actual liquid. I don't know if she knew or not that it was an actual liquid, but she seemed to drink it carelessly right after saying a couple lines. Then she collapsed on the floor and dropped the vial, just as her character was supposed to do. She seemed better at acting than I thought. The lights went off, and Kata ran out from the dark. "What are you doing here? What's going on?" one of the other actors backstage whispered to Kata. She was now violently shaking and clutching her neck. I didn't know what to do or say. I was actually really scared for her. Everyone was shocked and started approaching.
"What's wrong? What's happening?"
They still managed to whisper, but spoke quick with concern. "What was in that vial? What is happening?" I asked my sister. I was horrified with wide eyes as Kata started spitting out green liquid. Her tongue was burnt along with most of her mouth. She then collapsed on the floor, gasping for air. The stage crew noticed this and picked Kata up, quickly taking her out the back door. I started to follow behind. I don't know why, but I wanted to stay with my sister in this situation. I was worried. But just as I went out the door after them, I was yanked back into the corner next to the door and into another room. Startled, I tried looking behind me at who was holding me back. Something sharp instantly pierced through both my eyes. Pain struck through my head and panic struck my whole body. I tried to scream out, but someone covered my mouth. I tried fighting back, but I was kicked in the stomach and onto the ground. My heart was racing. I couldn't see. I was in deep, wretched pain, and I couldn't fight back, though I kept trying. I tried screaming, but I knew I was going to die. No one would hear me. My sister would die from that liquid that clearly some kind of sicko had given her, and I was going to die from this. This was it for me. The last thought I had was apologizing to Kata. I knew it was too late for that. I couldn't fight anymore and accepted my fate. I could vividly remember seeing the person who was behind me. They had wide green eyes, shining brown hair put up in a bun, and a certain disturbingly cheerful smile that I did not expect to see.